by Capital One. It is a sun-splashed Sunday afternoon in Tampa, Florida. Dawn Staley, the three-time national champion, arriving in style, leading South Carolina. Tahina Pau, the senior guard, seeking a second straight title. Meanwhile, Paige Beckers, the three-time All-American, looking for a first championship. And Gino Auriemma, 11 national championships, more than any coach in Division I history. Two Titan programs, UConn, South Carolina, a sea of fans ready to go. It's Champ Sunday, and it begins right now.
What does it take to leave your mark? What does it sound like to be victorious? What does it look like to be a champion?
The chance to repeat.
Is this a dynasty in the making? What does it take to go back to back? Focus, sacrifice, resilience.
The entire roster is on fire.
Maybe it's the mindset, the swag, whatever it takes.
Somebody's in the town, my guy.
Is it reclaiming what's yours?
And they've done it in perfect fashion.
Standing on tradition, not resting on it.
Connecticut looking like a machine.
Championship in your DNA. Pressure, that's fuel. Strong, on a mission for this moment.
It's all coming to an end. It's surreal that it's my last game in a UConn uniform.
This is a heavyweight battle.
Basketball on both ends.
They've been the standard. Now we meet up. This is the one we've been waiting for. The final step.
We have 40 minutes to give everything we have in our entire souls.
One game, one chance to finally discover
Found what I've been chasing.
the one.
Get your popcorn ready.
I am the one.
A champion is crowned today. Will it be South Carolina or will it be UConn? Two historic programs facing off in a heavyweight bout. As we welcome you courtside. Hey everybody, Ryan Rucco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. So happy to be with you this Sunday afternoon on ABC. Rebecca, there's plenty of experience on the sidelines in this game, plenty of experience on these rosters. But for South Carolina the other night, it was a freshman who led them.
How about the player playing in her first Final Four game? Joyce Edwards was absolutely spectacular. The way she was facilitating their offense. She finished with 13 points, 11 rebounds, plays with so much composure, facing the basket, finding her lanes. Also had 6 assists on the day. She just came out ready to meet the moment.
It is always a well-diversified attack for South Carolina. They are just the second team in the last 25 seasons to have 5 different leading scorers in a single NCAA tournament. Meanwhile, for Connecticut, they are led by a big three that was absolutely humming in the semifinals.
The best big three in women's college basketball, and they certainly were all of that in their semifinal game. These 3 players combined for 57 points. Their freshman, Sarah Strong, showing off her versatility as well. How about AZ Fudd, 19 points? All of them came in the first half. And then, of course, their leader, Paige Beckers, facilitating the offense, scoring when she needs to, ready to take over in all of the big moments as well.
This will be the final collegiate game for Paige Beckers in 2021. Her Connecticut team went to the Final Four, lost to Arizona. Then the next year got to the championship game, lost to South Carolina in 2023. Paige missed the entire season with a torn ACL. Her team lost in the Sweet 16. Last year, UConn went back to the Final Four before falling to Iowa. Connecticut, South Carolina. The matchup so many have been waiting for. A rematch from those 2022 national championship game. Time to get things over to the public address announcer, Jamie Coffey.
Yesterday, the collegiate athletics community lost former NCAA executive director and president Cedric Dempsey at the age of 92. Ced's visionary leadership strengthened the foundation of college sports and has had a lasting impact on NCAA student athletes. Please join us in a moment of silence for Cedric Dempsey. And now we ask those willing and able to please rise to honor America and those who support our freedom at home and abroad. Today, the flag displayed along the court is held by the Bloomingdale High School 6A State Championship girls basketball team and women leaders in the Tampa Bay area. And presenting the colors is the Tampa Police Department Honor Guard. And now, please join recording artist and former Boston College women's basketball student athlete Ayla Brown in the singing of our national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Well, beautiful rendition of our national anthem gets us set for action here between South Carolina and Connecticut. There could be a revenge factor for either team in this game. UConn maybe wanting to avenge that 2022 national championship. South Carolina looking to bounce back from what happened this February on their home floor.
Well, certainly when you look at the matchup from earlier this season, everything went right for UConn, especially on the offensive end of the floor. Neither side players are looking at that as any indicator, understanding that this game will be very different and a big challenge for both sides.
Gino Auriemma had actually said to us earlier in the tournament that he knew they got a lot of breaks in that game in Columbia. Expects a much different one here today. Well, UConn one win away from bringing home title number 12.
And
It's not a match when I'm in the zone. We gotta bring it home. We gotta bring it home. Not giving up until I'm sitting on the winner's throne. We gotta bring it home. We gotta bring it home. We gotta bring it home. We gotta bring it home.
Connecticut trying to bring back title number 12 to Stores. Time for Jamie Coffey to give us the UConn starting lineup, brought to you by Capital One.
And now the starters for the UConn Huskies. At forward, a 6'2" freshman from Durham, North Carolina, number 21, Sarah Strong. At center, a 6'5" freshman out of Cairo, Egypt, number 8, Jana El-Afi. At guard, a 5'9" grad student from San Marino, California, number 20, Caitlin Chen. At guard, a 5'11" grad student out of Arlington, Virginia, number 35, AZ Fudd. At guard, a 6' senior from Hopkins, Minnesota, number 5, Paige Beckers. And that's your starting 5 for the UConn Huskies.
So there are UConn starters. Meanwhile, South Carolina is on the doorstep of a dynasty.
It's lit. Oh my. Show me who real. We get it. We get it poppin', you know that we lit. I'm one of the greatest. I'm one of the greatest. Greatest. Are you fancy, huh?
Now, here is the South Carolina starting lineup, brought to you by Capital One.
And now the starters for the South Carolina Gamecocks. At forward, a 6'3" senior out of Ellenwood, Georgia, number 20, Sanaya Fagan. At forward, a 6'2" junior from Oviedo, Florida, number 21, Chloe Kitts. At guard, a 5'9" senior out of Oceanside, California, 0, Tahina Pow Pow. At guard, a 6' senior from Dayton, Ohio, number 23, Bree Hall. And running the point for the Gamecocks, a 5'9" junior out of Atlanta, Georgia, 25, Raven Johnson. And that's your starting 5 for the South Carolina Gamecocks. And introducing the head coaches for the UConn Huskies, Gino Auriemma. And for the South Carolina Gamecocks, Dawn Staley.
Well, 2 legendary head coaches. For a little more on Gino and Dawn, here is Holly Rowe.
Well, they're so big, they only need one name. Dawn and Gino, they are the 2 icons in this game right now. They both started out with very humble beginnings. Gino Auriemma came to this country at 7 years old on a boat from Italy. He used sports as a way to connect with people when he couldn't speak the language here. For Dawn Staley, she grew up on the streets of Philadelphia at the corner of Diamond Avenue and 25th Street, where she quickly became a legend on those courts. They both started out playing in youth leagues in Philly. They claim that background and the brotherly love that they got there as their competitive spirits. They both had to start programs that had lain dormant. 100 fans at Gino's first UConn game. Dawn was passing out tickets in restaurants to get people to come to Columbia. Now they are the 2 dynamic programs that everybody wants to be like, and they chase history tonight. Gino with the 12th will be the winningest of all time, and Dawn, 3 and 4 years, it is the dawn of a destiny.
All right, Holly, thank you very much. Here we go. South Carolina, Connecticut. Second time meeting in a national championship game. South Carolina taking the first back in 2022. Who wins here in 2025? Sarah Strong, Chloe Kitts to jump it up. And the national championship game is underway.
South Carolina starting out in man-to-man defense. This is the matchup to keep your eye on. Bree Hall, outstanding defender on Paige Beckers.
Fudd trying to get free, could not. Good denial here from South Carolina. Chen will fire. Can't hit the three. Long rebound. Ends up with Beckers. Can't hit her jumper. Another rebound. This time it's Fudd, and a held ball is going to give South Carolina possession. AZ Fudd upset. Felt like she had wrestled that away before the held ball should have been called. Gino Auriemma said he was expecting much more pressure on their ball handlers in this game than what Connecticut saw in February. Here's Pow Pow. You bet!
That is an outstanding sign for South Carolina. Dawn Staley told us earlier this season our team relaxes when Pow Pow hits a shot early.
Here's Strong, the talented freshman, guarded by Kitch. Strong, poised at the cup.
It is truly remarkable, the poise with which that young woman plays. Only a freshman, never seems rattled, never seems sped up in any way.
Was the #1 recruit in the nation for this year's class, the National Freshman of the Year. Here's Kitts trying to work Strong. Kitts to the hook, able to drop it in. Chloe Kitts, who is the MVP of the SEC tournament, as well as South Carolina's region, leading into the Final Four.
She had a quiet semifinal game because she picked up a foul early. Her minutes were limited as a result.
Here's Beckers, guarded by Kitts. Beckers trying to dance around her. What a move from Paige Buckets.
Paige Beckers is so adept at creating space for her jump shot, especially when she's going to the left side and can use her step-back move.
Sanaya Fagan, the senior, rumbles in, couldn't finish it. Raven Johnson, another chance, floats it short. Strong has it knocked away, but a foul called against South Carolina.
Tahina Pow Pow is a big-time threat from the three-point line. Caitlin Chen got caught up on a screen, has to be feeling confidently about that one. And then Paige Beckers, the space she creates going left.
One of the things Tahina Pow Pow talked to us about yesterday was, my teammates have been begging me to shoot the basketball. Dawn Staley said she wants no hesitation on shots from Pow Pow. There was no hesitation there. Meanwhile, that foul on the other end was on Kitts, her first. Here's Fudd. Strong giving it right back. Fudd, a deep three is off. Rebound Chen. Chen finds the cutter. Fudd, she got that one.
You see how much South Carolina is switching defensively. When AZ Fudd took that first three, it was the big Sanaya Fagan defending her.
Fudd had 28 against South Carolina in mid-February. 18 of those in the third quarter alone. Here's Kitts. Not really her forte from out there. Backdoor Johnson gets free. Good action early between UConn and South Carolina. Here's Beckers, guarded by Hall. Gives it up, Strong, cross court. Chen fakes the three, on the drive, banks it in.
That all started when two defenders ran at Paige Beckers. UConn had a good job switching sides of the floor. The closeout, Caitlin Chen attacked it.
Both teams executing on the offensive end in the early going. Here's Hall, the senior step back is good. Hall has shot it very efficiently in this tournament, 56%, after she shot it just 38% from the floor during the regular season. Beckers can't get that one to drop and hits the weak side rebound.
This is what South Carolina's bigs can do. They can facilitate the break off of their own defensive boards.
And hit jumpers like that. Dawn Staley said we're going to need to put points on the board against this UConn offense. Strong finishes on the interior.
Both of these teams are so good, Ryan, when they can get out in transition offensively. Your best way to prevent transition is by scoring the basketball, and both teams are doing that at a high clip.
Pow Pow, not that time. Rebound El Alfi. Dawn Staley told us before the game, #1 key, keeping Connecticut out of their transition offense. Fudd leaning and hitting, plus the foul.
Gino Auriemma loves when AZ Fudd is aggressive going to the basket. And when she is decisive, you see her here getting in, gets hit on the off arm, still able to finish. Now both bigs for South Carolina with 1 foul, but perhaps that results in one of their biggest weapons coming in Joyce Edwards.
They called that foul on Chloe Kitts. It would be her second. On that replay, it clearly looked like it was Fagan.
I think the coaches are telling Dawn Staley.
Yeah, exactly.
That was clearly on Fagan.
Yes, unless there was something from Kitts at the front of the drive from Fudd that we didn't see. Here's Joyce Edwards, the freshman, off the bench, and a foul on Jana El-Alfi. Let's take another look. I mean, that's obviously on Fagan. Kitts is nowhere near the play. Now, they can correct this in the break, and obviously we would expect them to, and it should be 1 on Fagan and 1 on Kitts. That's 1 on El-Alfi. 13-11 Connecticut lead. Hall gets denied by Strong. Ping-pongs into the arms of Beckers. Chen attacking, bouncing, El-Alfi laying.
Caitlin Chen has been really playing with some poise here throughout the entire tournament, but especially here in the Final Four. That was a nice drive and then lay for El-Alfi.
A Princeton grad student here at UConn and has fit in beautifully. Kitts couldn't get that one to drop. Edwards, the freshman, timed that jump perfectly.
Talk about a player who's been playing with poise. Joyce Edwards has been spectacular here in the Final Four.
Beckers underneath, tried to force it up and in, could not. Good defense there from Hall. Here's Edwards going back to work, and that's going to be foul number 2 on El-Alfi. It'll put Joyce Edwards at the line. Scintillating action in the early going of the national championship game.
Sarah Strong is a very good defender here. Switches out, times the block of the pass beautifully. And then on the other end, Jana El-Alfi finishing strong with the left.
Well, decades of dominance for UConn and South Carolina. For Connecticut since winning that first title in 1995, a .926 winning percentage. They had a win streak of 111 games, 6 perfect seasons, and 11 national championships. Since South Carolina's first, led by Asia Wilson, they have won 3 national championships, had a 71-game home winning streak, a perfect season, and have won nearly 90% of their games. South Carolina wins this. They'd have the repeat. They'd also have their 3rd title in 4 years, cementing a dynasty. This is the 7th meeting all time between the preseason AP number 1 and 2 teams. The number 1 has won the first 6 meetings. It was South Carolina who was the number 1 in the preseason this year, although it is Connecticut who is the favorite in this matchup today.
Interesting, because they're the 2 seed
yes.
in this NCAA tournament.
Meanwhile, we saw Malaysia Fulwiley come into the game. Part of why South Carolina is so dangerous, the talent they bring off the bench. That foul was changed from Kitts to Fagan, so 1 apiece on Chloe Kitts and Sanaya Fagan. A 15-14 Connecticut lead. Beckers 1 of 4 at the start. That pass stolen by Edwards. Here's Fulwiley. Has her pocket picked by Fudd. AZ Fudd off to a great start.
After scores or even off of turnovers, Connecticut's guards are pressuring up, trying to prevent get-ahead passes from South Carolina, letting everyone else run back in their transition defense.
7 points from Fudd. Here's Pow Pow. Spinning around, finding Kitts. Ice Brady in off the bench for Connecticut. Here's Fulwiley. Always electrifying. Fulwiley dishes. Edwards in a crowd, and Strong able to snare it away. Here's Strong. Finding Fudd. Back to Beckers, off the curl. Beckers unable to hit, now 1 of 5 at the start. Beckers had 3 straight 30-point games leading into the semifinal. 16 the other night in the win against UCLA. Kids can't get it to drop. Offensive board, Johnson. And Raven Johnson, the senior, will calm things down.
Raven Johnson is such a good rebounder from the guard position.
Raven Johnson can't quite scoop it in. Beckers quickly ahead. Fudd had space. Instead drives it. Strong's 3. Back iron and off. Brady tips it. Fudd an extra feed. Strong loose handle. Flips it up and off. A little out of control on that possession.
You don't often see Sarah Strong sped up. She was a little bit after she got that offensive board.
South Carolina started this game 5 of 7 from the floor. They are 1 of 5 since. Here's Edwards with some space, lost it. And will we have a tie-up? No, we don't yet. Now we do. And the possession arrow belongs to UConn.
Both of these teams crashing the boards hard. Here you have AZ Fudd with a little fingertip out on the perimeter to be able to get the steal and finish.
Hey, the Bird and Taurasi show presented by AT&T, back for its 4th year, currently airing on ESPN. 1:25 to go in the first quarter. Connecticut, a 3-point lead on South Carolina. Here's Brady. Back door knocked away by Pow. Fudd, and another held ball. This time, it's going to be South Carolina basketball. And Dawn Staley wanting Mylasia Fulwiley to play with energy there. We've had 5 lead changes already today. There was not a single lead change when these teams met in the title game in 2022. Here's Kitts. Kitts putting it on the deck. Off to Edwards. Edwards can't flip it in. Kitts flips it up and off. Strong able to grab the rebound. Some good looks there for South Carolina.
You see how adept their post players are at not only initiating with the dribble, but also passing interior to one another.
Bree Hall draws the offensive foul there. They're going to call it on KK Arnold, her first.
KK Arnold still moving after the little handoff to AZ Fudd.
Here's Kitts, off to Pow. Extra feed. Edwards can't finish it. Beckers got a hand on it. Six rebounds in the quarter for the freshman Strong. 7 seconds left in the frame. Beckers banks it in. 2 seconds left. Pow flips it ahead. Johnson can't hit. And that'll do it for the first. UConn a 19-14 lead after 1. We will hear from Gino Auriemma when we come back. Connecticut a 5-point edge after the first quarter of the national championship game. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Connecticut, a 5-point lead over South Carolina. Get ready to start the second quarter. Time for today's coach's interview, brought to you by Symetra.
Coach Auriemma, some frustration you're showing right now talking to your assistants. What are you going to say when you get back in that huddle to your team?
Well, there's a couple little things, you know, like we lose contact with one of their shooters. That's fine. But down here now, we set an illegal screen, and then the next time we don't even set a screen. So, like, we got to go somewhere in between, you know. We might figure out a way to get it right. But, man, it was a hell of a first quarter, and I'm tired just watching it.
AZ Fudd is not tired. She got off to a good start. We've rarely seen Paige and AZ firing on all cylinders at the same time. What does that signal to you, the start those two had?
Well, so far so good. You know, it's it's important that we get both of them because we can't rely on just one of them. It's just too much defensive pressure. So right now, my big concern is these big guys got to rebound better. Right now, Sarah's the only one. The other two guys, they got to rebound better. And I think we can get more opportunities in transition that we need to look for.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, Gino Auriemma told us yesterday we need two of our big three to play really well to have a shot in this game. Here's how things look thus far for Becker, Spud, and Sarah Strong.
Yeah, and those are the players that you want taking the lion's share of your field goal attempts. They have been so good throughout the course of the tournament and the entire season. You see the efficiency with which they're shooting the basketball in all areas of the floor as well.
Meanwhile, South Carolina starts the second quarter with Tessa Johnson on the floor off the bench. Last year, Tessa had a career-high 19 points in the national championship game as a freshman. Really helped change that game against Iowa, a game South Carolina went on to win.
A floor spacer who can be very good from three.
Beckers, another jumper for Paige Beckers. And a touchdown lead for UConn. South Carolina has gone more than 4 minutes without scoring. Knocked away. Strong was out, and it will stay here with the Gamecocks.
Paige Beckers just coming off a handoff. South Carolina worked on this so much both yesterday and today of how they were going to try to defend it. That's just a tough shot.
Beckers with 6. Here's Fagan, and she traveled as South Carolina turns it over, their 5th of this first half. Now, Dawn Staley talked about keeping Connecticut out of transition and then also keeping them down from their normal three-point average. South Carolina has done both of those things thus far, but it's Connecticut who leads by 7. Strong, able to finish.
South Carolina needs a bucket. They need something to settle them right now. Joyce Edwards, a good option for that.
A 9-point Connecticut lead, an 8-0 run. Raven Johnson gets denied. Sarah Strong flexing.
Sarah Strong is an outstanding defender, both on the ball and on the help side. And one of the things she does really well is block shots, keeps her arms up. No contact, no foul.
Here's Edwards. Edwards working behind the screen from Fagan. Edwards, oh my goodness, what a soft touch from Joyce Edwards.
We saw the poise with which she played yesterday and is very good facing the bucket, using some dribbles to get her to her spot on the floor.
Bud, short, rebound Johnson, an opportunity for South Carolina to creep a little closer, and Ice Brady picks up her first personal. Remember, Jana El Alfie already has 2 on her.
See Joyce Edwards gets the ball outside the three-point line. Beautiful touch off the glass. I mean, both of these teams have a 4-player who can face up and create off the dribble. Such a luxury.
South Carolina able to end that 8-0 run. They started hot from the field, went cold at the end of that first. Here's Fagan, spinning inside, kicking out, hauls 3. Off, Raven Johnson. There you go, partner. Another offensive board from Raven Johnson.
I mean, 5'9". She's listed as 5'9", but she is a terrific rebounder, both ends.
Edwards gets the touch. Freshman to freshman. Fagan, what hands!
South Carolina's bigs and their ability and willingness to pass to one another in tight spaces. Perhaps the best in the country.
Dawn Staley talks about that all the time. They want their bigs to be able to do everything their guards can do passing the basketball. Beckers, no. Rebound Johnson. South Carolina making a push. Tessa Johnson pedals it through traffic. Here's Hall, and it's going to be a moving screen on Joyce Edwards. That'll be her first personal. And coverage of the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship game continues tomorrow on CBS. Florida takes on Houston. For more information, go to ncaa.com. What terrific games last night in the semifinals.
Jana El Alfie returns here, even though she has the 2 fouls.
And while South Carolina has turned it over 6 times, Mostly dead ball turnovers, though. Here's Beckers. Pull-up jumper. Got fouled. And Paige Beckers is going to shoot 2, and that is going to be number 2 on Joyce Edwards.
Oh, that's tough, and you see the frustration for Dawn Staley because Joyce Edwards is a huge piece for South Carolina, not only in general, but in this particular matchup. Again, they worked so much yesterday and today again on that handoff action that UConn likes to run.
Beckers hits the first free throw. Let's take another look. Oh,
barely on the guide hand.
On the follow-through, hitting the left arm, yeah. Beckers hits both free throws. Let's bring in our rules analyst, Violet Palmer. That's a big foul there with Joyce Edwards going out with her second. Violet, is that contact on the follow-through enough to warrant a personal foul there?
You know, Ryan, I really don't think so. The ball was already gone. She had her follow-through. It looked like she got the shot off pretty clean.
All right, great stuff, Violet. Appreciate the insight. Meanwhile, Kitts unable to finish on this end. Fagan tracks it down. Johnson can't hit the 3. And again, Raven Johnson, another offensive board. Here's Tessa storming in, gets the foul against Sarah Strong. And that will be the first foul on the talented freshman who's a little shaken up afterwards.
Ryan, when these teams met in the regular season, all those long rebounds UConn was getting, and it was fueling their fast break the other way. South Carolina outstanding, corralling those deep rebounds here today.
They already have 8 offensive rebounds in this first half. That was something Gino Auriemma talked to us about yesterday, concern for the way South Carolina can attack the offensive glass, even though it's not as much of a hallmark for them as it has been in years past. No Aaliyah Boston, no Camila Cardoso, still a part of the repertoire. And here was the foul on Sarah Strong on the drive from Tessa Johnson.
She got hit on the face, but she was reaching in before that, which is where the foul came.
Meanwhile, we'll see how South Carolina navigates after a tough second call against Joyce Edwards. She is back on the bench. Hitz and Fagan each have 1. El Alfie has 2 for Connecticut. Sarah Strong with 1. Here's Fudd. All on Fudd. Into the corner. Shade wide open. Can't hit the 3. El Alfie keeps it alive. Beckers will fire. No. And Raven Johnson the rebound. Connecticut yet to hit a 3 in this game. They are 0 for 5 from downtown.
The biggest hallmark for UConn on the season, the difference in their wins and losses, is their inability to make shots from the three-point line. And their 3 losses shot 24% from 3.
Fagan buries the jumper.
Sanaya Fagan has the experience and the calm for this South Carolina team.
The lead has been cut to 3. An 8-2 push from South Carolina. Beckers kicks it out. Fudd can't get it to drop. Raven Johnson gets it across. Connecticut 0 for 6 from 3. Fagan finds Kitts. Kitts, what a move! Can't finish it, and Sarah Strong, another rebound, her 7th.
But smart by Fagan to go at El Alfie, the player with 3 fouls.
Fudd on the attack gets fouled, and AZ Fudd is going to the line. And you can see Dawn Staley saying she's pushing off as Gino Auriemma has a conversation with Jana El Alfie. Dawn Staley has an extended one with Gina Cross as Fudd hits the first free throw. Now, one of the things Gino Auriemma said to us yesterday, Rebecca, he said, look, if we shoot like we did against UCLA, if we play like that, we're going to win. said what we need to figure out is if we're not clicking on all cylinders on the offensive end, how do we find a way to win then? That's what you were talking about before. And those losses in the regular season, they weren't able to navigate those games where they didn't have it going from three. Thus far, even though they're cold from three, they still have a 5-point lead. Here's Kitts. Strong already has one foul. Raven Johnson tiptoeing. Pow back in for South Carolina. 4 to shoot. Pow. 2 to shoot. Pow gets denied by Strong. Able to control it in bounds. Here's Beckers twisting, dishing. Fudd, run off, pull up, is good. $11 for AZ Fudd. At 19 in the first half of the semifinal against UCLA. Tessa Johnson, a big one, short. Strong with her 9th board. Strong deep catch, gets blocked beautifully by Tessa Johnson. And it'll stay here. 3:50 to go in the first half. Plenty of drama through the first 2 quarters. It's Connecticut who leads by 7 in a matchup between Dawn and Gina.
Back at the national championship where UConn leads South Carolina by 7. And the best freshman in the country, Sarah Strong, has been on full display here. She has remarkable hands. She catches everything thrown her way. She's been able to block shots in this one. She's gotten on the ground for loose balls. She just makes such an impact here. The last block, she was on her descent, still able to not only block the ball, but keep it in bounds. Her hands are remarkable.
We heard Diana Taurasi at Sue Bird the other night calling her baby Jokic with the way she plays. So we asked Sarah about that, and Sarah said, you know what? That's a huge compliment to me because I actually study a lot of Nikola Jokic film and try and implement aspects of his game. Strong deep catch and 2 more for Sarah Strong. Connecticut a 9-point lead.
Not an accident that the play was drawn up for Sarah Strong coming out of that huddle.
South Carolina started 5 of 7. They are 4 for 18 since. Strong 8 points, 8 boards for Wiley again as Fudd steal it away. AZ Fudd to the cup.
Mylasia Full-Wiley can be such an X-factor for South Carolina because when she's in open space, especially in transition, she can be virtually unstoppable. AZ Fudd has done a nice job on her here in this first half.
And Full-Wiley's been limited to just 3 minutes in this first half for South Carolina. Here's Raven Johnson, can't pop it in. Loose ball, dug up by Pow and Fudd, the reach in.
We saw AZ Fudd do this early in the game as well, just able to get in, just the help side, the poke, and then pushes it out in transition and finishing the other way.
For a little more on Mylasia, let's check in with Holly.
Well, Dawn Staley was frustrated with Mylasia early in this game. She pulled her out, and I could overhear her say, you've got to play today. Later, she sidebarred with her in one of the huddles. She is pushing Mylasia to play the right way. That starts on the defensive end, and they need her scoring offense. She can help them score when it gets challenging, but she's got to perform defensively.
Well, no doubt, Holly. I mean, Mylasia Full-Wiley, when it comes to pure talent, she has no doubt the highest ceiling on South Carolina's roster. And there's games like the Sweet 16 against Maryland where the offense was basically exclusively run through her in the 4th quarter.
She can change the momentum of a game within the course of 3 or 4 possessions.
Fudd drives it, kicks it. Chen attacking, gets blocked by Johnson, controlled by Kitts. Big defensive play there from South Carolina. Can they cash in on this end? Kitts, deep catch, Kitts. Unable to finish through the contact.
Another great rebound by Sarah Strong.
Strong trying to go coast to coast. We'll ask for some help. Becker's right back to Strong. Couldn't flip it in. And Raven Johnson the rebound.
Raven Johnson has had a massive impact on this game. Only 2 points, but a massive impact.
And now can't quite hit the jumper. Strong, her 10th board. Raven Johnson told us the other day, people always want me to do different things. I just try and impact winning however I can.
She's been tough on the defensive end. She's been all over the offensive and defensive glass. Just pure toughness here in this first half.
South Carolina's gotten some good looks, but have gone cold after the hot start. They've missed 16 of their last 19. Here's Chen, 5 to shoot. Into the arms of Beckers, 2 to shoot. They don't realize it. Brady doesn't get it off. And Connecticut with the shot clock violation. Hey, coming up at halftime, it's the Dove halftime report. Elle Duncan, Andrea Carter, Chinea Gumake with first half reaction and keys to the second half. Outstanding, sparkling, shimmering stars right there at the desk.
They are sparkly and shimmery today, aren't they?
That's right. That's what we call a double entendre.
That's right, because every time they are that in their personality and analysis.
Meanwhile, that turnover was the first of the quarter for Connecticut. Rebecca, anything South Carolina can do on this end to get their offense going?
You know, when Joyce Edwards was in the game, they went to her and tried to get that working. I've liked Chloe Kitts when she's been trying to initiate because she can be a handful, especially against this smaller UConn lineup.
Johnson connects. Big three there, set up by Wiley. Connecticut still without a three in this game. And now Johnson comes up with a steal. For Wiley, big one on the way. Off, Dowda, battling. Can't get it to go, but a foul. And free throws here for Miriam Dowda. As the personal is called on Ashlyn Shade, her first.
This is the first we've seen UConn's smaller lineup in this game. It's a lineup that's been so effective for them all season long, but in it, what happens? Another offensive rebound for South Carolina.
10 offensive rebounds for South Carolina as Dowda hits the first. A season 2 of Full Court Press premieres Sunday, May 3rd. On ESPN and ESPN Plus, the 4-part docu-series takes an unparalleled behind-the-scenes look into the lives of Hannah Hidalgo, Flau'jae Johnson, and Kiki Iriafen. Sarah Strong with her 11th rebound of the half. 7-point game and about a 5-second difference game in shot clock. See how much UConn winds this down here. Beckers eyes the clock, gives it up, gets it back, 8 to shoot, into Strong. Beckers to the corner, Shade, connects! First three of the game for Connecticut. Bud knocks it away, and South Carolina with 1.4 to make something happen. Wiley lobbing it in. Johnson at the horn. No. And that will do it for the first half. Connecticut a 10-point lead after 2 quarters. And the big three delivering 29 points in that first half combined. And AZ Fudd leading the way with 13 is with Holly.
AZ, South Carolina is a long and strong physical defense. How have you been able to find your spots and get going offensively?
I think being patient. Like you said, they're strong, they're long, so reading what they give us, not getting outside of ourselves, staying slow, staying calm, and using ball screens, I think.
You guys were down big on the rebounding and on the glass. Sarah Strong, I think she's got 11 by herself right now. How can you pick that up, but what do you see from her?
Yeah, I mean, Sarah's incredible, especially on the boards, but us guards got to box out. We're letting them get too many second chances, so we got to help her out and box.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Connecticut had not gotten a single point from their bench, had not hit a single three in the game until this one from Ashlyn Shade to close out the half. Give Connecticut a 10-point lead. Yeah, she loves it. And we love Elle Duncan, Andrea Carter, and Chinea Gumake. Dove halftime coming up now. And Connecticut a 36-26 lead on South Carolina. with a national championship on the line as we welcome you courtside once again. Ryan Ruocco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. Really fun first half. And even though Paige Bueckers wasn't her usual efficient self shooting, the way she impacts the game, you could see all over.
If she is on the floor, she is going to be impacting her team on both ends. And we saw that in the first half. UConn was able to get an easy look from Sarah Strong because Paige Bueckers on the opposite side of the floor. Look at Bree Hall. There's no help side defense there because of all the defensive attention you have to give to Paige Bueckers, one of the elite passers and facilitators in this game. She can get to the spots on the floor where she wants to score. And then how about this? Look at the defensive attention she gets the last play of the half, and what does she do? Deliver the ball perfectly to Ashlyn Shade to get UConn its first three of the half.
Let's check out today's game track, brought to you by Invesco QQQ. Bueckers, Strong, and Fudd with 29 of Connecticut's 36 points. South Carolina has had 8 different players score. 5 apiece for Johnson and Edwards, and 5 lead changes in that first quarter. No lead changes in the second. Also remember, Joyce Edwards picked up that second foul on a call that our Violet Palmer said should not have been made. Then she sat on the bench the remainder of the second quarter. We figured Joyce would have to be a big part of South Carolina's offense when she does come in here in the third.
Curious if South Carolina might look to attack Janet El Alfie, see if they can pick up a fourth here early in the third quarter.
El Alfie with 2 personals, guarding Fagan, attacking her. Fagan unable to finish, and Strong has her 12th defensive rebound of the game. Connecticut just 1 of 7 from 3 in that first half. Here's El Alfie putting it on the deck, bouncing it out. Chen attacks the closeout. Her leaner is short. Rebound, Pow Pow. Pushing pace for South Carolina with Connecticut back. Pow Pow as it wrestled out of bounds by Bueckers. It'll stay with the Gamecocks.
It's a rare opportunity for South Carolina to try to push out and transition. Tahina Pow Pow takes advantage of it. Really good hands. I think that was all basketball by both Fudd and Bueckers.
Just 4 fast break points for Connecticut in the first half. Hitz unable to hit the 3. Rebound loose, scooped up by Bueckers. South Carolina with just 1 fast break point in that first half. Fudd can't lay it in, but gets fouled by Bree Hall. And free throws here for Azzi Fudd. Fudd, who was significantly under the weather in 2022 in the national championship game, really struggled against South Carolina. Played just 16 minutes, was 1 of 3 from the floor, had just 3 points, but bouncing back in a big way today. For a little more on Azzi Fudd, let's send things over to Holly.
Well, Azzi Fudd has been building towards this moment for all of her life, thanks to her mom, Katie, who had a pretty creative way to get her to develop that left hand. The saran wrap across the right, a little skill development, make sure you're good with both sides. I just love that. Her mom has poured so much into her, and her dad, Tim Fudd, lots of work with Azzi in the offseason, and there she was as a little girl. That was the cutest picture I think I've ever seen.
I mean, Holly, when she told us the story, we thought she was talking about like 12-year-old Azzi. No, not 2-year-old working on the left hand, as kids able to finish through some contact.
Ryan, UConn's guard defense has been so good out on the perimeter. South Carolina has to rely on their bigs to create looks like you just saw from Chloe Kitts, like we saw in the first half from Joyce Edwards, what we saw in the semifinal matchup against Texas.
Here's Bueckers giving it up. Fudd already with 15. Can't get that to drop in. Gets the rebound. Here comes Pow Pow. Pow Pow. Off to Hall, lob it in. Edwards quickly in off the bench, and a foul is going to go against UConn. It'll be on Azzi Fudd, her second. Talk about how tough that Connecticut defense is.
Man, just so many contested shots for South Carolina, and they were about 50% on the uncontested ones. There just weren't enough of them.
Here's Pow Pow. Dipping inside, throwing it out of bounds as South Carolina turns it over.
Can we revisit the saran wrap for a second?
can,
You and I are both
absolutely.
parents. We know that there is a multitude of uses for saran wrap. I did not know until we saw that picture and heard that story that that was one of them.
Does that keep toddlers in bed through the night?
You let me know.
Maybe an NIL deal with saran wrap coming for AZ Fudd. Here's Fudd. Pivoting, dishing. Chen will fire way off. And the rebound to Fudd. Another chance for UConn. Fudd on the drive. Floats it in. AZ Fudd with 17.
There was only so much Joyce Edwards could do because she has her 2 fouls.
The big three has it humming for UConn. Fudd strips it. 3-on-2. Chan all the way in. Can't finish. Good contest there from Raven Johnson. On the other end, Hall, they need it. Don't have it. South Carolina 2 for 10 from 3. Connecticut just 1 for 8. And that was the #1 key for Dawn Staley, keeping Connecticut out of transition and limiting their threes. South Carolina has done that. Chen can't get that one either.
South Carolina's done what they need to do on the defensive end of the floor. It's been their struggle to score that's been the problem.
And Becker's going to pick up a foul there. That'll be the first on Paige Beckers. Hey, the 2025 Men's Frozen Four begins Thursday at 5 and 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2. For more information, go to NCAA.com. You're home for all 90 NCAA championships. Pow, Tessa Johnson, Chloe Kitts, Raven Johnson, and Joyce Edwards, the 5 for South Carolina. Becker, Strong, El Alfie, Fudd, and Shade for UConn. And that's going to be a foul here against Connecticut. And we'll see who they give it to. If it's El Alfie, it is her 3rd. And it is number 3 on Jana El Alfie. Significant because we have not seen Connecticut go small with Strong at the 5 much in this game. Here's Kitts, shouldering in. Kitts gets another whistle against El Alfie, and that is going to be her 4th. So back-to-back fouls on Jana El Alfie, and now she'll have to check out.
Chloe Kitts does a great job with some fakes to get El Alfie off balance a little bit. Looks clean up top, but she definitely got her with the body down below.
And Violet Palmer, our rules analyst in the truck, confirms she thinks both calls were the correct foul calls against El Alfie.
No, El Alfie doesn't provide a lot in terms of scoring on the offensive end, but she is a big physical presence who had a great semifinal game against UCLA and Lauren Betts.
See longtime assistant Chris Daly coaching Jana El Alfie through this. El Alfie's parents made the trip from Egypt, saw maybe her best game of the year in the semifinals in that win against UCLA. Meanwhile, Malaysia Full-Wiley, can she provide something in this second half? You talked about it before, Rebecca. She can change a game in a 3-minute stretch. Was held scoreless in the first half. The SEC 6th Woman of the Year.
Ooh, Edward lost his shoe.
Strong, soft touch for Sarah Strong, and the freshman with another double-double.
That might normally have been Joyce Edwards' help and double inside, but she had to get her shoe.
Tessa Johnson can't finish it. Rebound Fudd on the weak side. 13-point Connecticut lead. Fudd, what a move. AZ Fudd all the way in. Danger time for South Carolina. And a whistle going to go against Ice Brady. And that'll put South Carolina at the line with Connecticut already over the limit.
AZ Fudd, throughout the course of her career, known for her pure jump shot. She has added a real shiftiness to her game, attacking the rim.
On the fans in Gamble, love what they're seeing from AZ Fudd, who will return to Connecticut for another season. Said she had a conversation with Gino Auriemma where Gino said, It just feels like if you leave, you're always going to think, I didn't get to accomplish everything I could in a Connecticut jersey. She agreed and decided to come back, a collegiate career that up till this season has been besieged by injury.
And a young woman who also loves the school part of it. She graduated in 3 years, taking grad courses since then. She still enjoys the daily grind of going to class in addition to basketball.
Holly?
And it's remarkable that she feels that way about the school because she's been through so much. She has been out for much of almost a year and a half with knee injury, having to fight her way back to the court. She went 728 days without being able to play in an NCAA tournament game, but not today. She is not going to be denied, even though she was delayed.
Spot on, Holly. 21 from Fudd now. And South Carolina take advantage with Connecticut over the limit. Fagan bodying in. Nice move from Sanaya Fagan, who's really had a terrific senior season for the Gamecocks. Dawn Staley has told us many times she's the most important player to have on the floor for her team because of her communication. Strong and easy too.
Two-man game with Azzi Fudd and Sarah Strong puts so much pressure on the defense because Fudd, with the way she's scoring, if you send two to her, you get the easy delivery to Strong on the roll.
Pow, pocket feed, Edwards, strong finish from the freshman.
And same thing on this end that time with Pow and Joyce Edwards. Great two-man game.
Beckers gets fouled, and Paige Beckers will go to the line to shoot a pair. Will step aside, 4:26 to go in the third. UConn a 13-point lead.
Azzi Fudd has had an incredible impact here on this game. Her ability to score, getting to the rim, saran wrap being sold off of shelves everywhere.
The NCAA Women's Championship presented by Capital One is brought to you by Indeed. The world can work better. UConn, a 13-point lead on South Carolina midway through the third quarter of the national championship game. And now for today's Star Story is brought to you by Indeed. The Connecticut Big Three already with 41 today. They have averaged nearly 60 in the tournament, and over the last 4 games, just outstanding. And Gino Auriemma said to us, we need 2 of those 3 today in order to win. They've gotten good performances from all 3 thus far.
When they're all playing well, it's the best Big Three in the country. And we have seen that consistently now here through the NCAA tournament.
Paige Beckers at the line. Sinks the first.
I mean, when you look at that Big Three, Paige Beckers will be the #1 draft pick this year. When Sarah Strong comes out, she'll most likely be the #1 draft pick. Azzi Fudd next year, it's interesting to see where she will go. Most likely a lottery pick. I mean, that's the level of talent we're talking about with those 3 players.
They might play that clip back in a few years. 15-point UConn lead. Can South Carolina make a push? But Wiley is in. Knocked away by Beckers. Edwards has it stripped by Strong. Again, good hands from Sarah Strong. And the Connecticut defense has just been fantastic thus far in this game.
This is a UConn team, because of how they score points, get so much credit and attention on their offense. They are terrific defensively. On ball and help side. Something they work on every day.
Here's Pow, giving it up for Wiley. Can't get it to drop, gets it back. Another chance for Malaysia. For Wiley, runner is good. Does that unlock Malaysia for Wiley, who can get hot in a hurry? We saw it in that game against Maryland. Struggled early, was taken out. Colette Law, the assistant for Dawn Staley, told her, give Malaysia one more chance. A story told to us by our colleague Carolyn Peck. Dawn did, and Fulwiley ended up leading South Carolina down the stretch to the win in a comeback in the fourth.
Tough floater, and how important for your confidence to finally see one go through.
Fulwiley knocks it away. He can be that kind of disruptive defender as well. Fulwiley leads the break, and Fagan lays it in. And a timeout taken by Connecticut. Gino Auriemma doesn't want this run to simmer for South Carolina. Malaysia Fulwiley starting to plug in the electricity.
She can change the course of a game in just a few possessions. We saw her score, then get the poke, and the beautiful get ahead to Fagan. Ready to rock and roll. Back here in Tampa, where South Carolina has cut into the lead, Malaysia Fulwiley has been super impactful on both ends of the floor. We've seen her run in and get a shot, help side, coming over to get the block on Sarah Strong, and then the poke out front, leading to an easy two the other way for Sanaya Fagan. She has been so good and impactful here in a very short stretch of time.
And Malaysia Fulwiley has had this kind of connection all season long with Khadijah Sessions.
When Malaysia Fulwiley comes out of games, it's Khadijah Sessions who sits and talks and coaches her. Khadijah has known Malaysia since she was in the 5th grade, and even in practices, that's the coach who is in her ear. They watch film together. There's an incredible amount of trust between those two women.
3:10 to go in the third. Strong fakes the three, gives it up in the corner. Fudd, you bet! Azzi Fudd is on fire. 24.
What an answer. And you can use your 4-player as the facilitator to get the pass to Azzi.
That's going to be the second foul on Strong, and free throws here for Joyce Edwards. And you can see Dawn Staley upset with what happened on that previous trip down the floor.
You don't help off the strong side corner.
Just the second three of the game that UConn has hit as Edwards misses the free throw. South Carolina now 7 of 11 from the line. South Carolina looking for a second straight title in a 3rd in 4 years, a 4th overall in the last decade. Connecticut seeking a 12th title and their first since 2016. Strong's three is good.
Joyce Edwards was right there. She was right there with a hand in the face.
Now UConn has the long ball working. Edwards spinning, gets denied. Kitts working the interior, dives in, couldn't finesse it home.
UConn with their small lineup now, which had put Paige Beckers on Chloe Kitts defensively.
Arnold wheels back out. Fudd fakes the three, gives it up. Shade attacking, laying, couldn't finish it. Beckers the rebound. Underneath, Beckers gets the whistle.
Sarah Strong, dribble penetration. Fulwiley comes in, helps off of Azzi Fudd. Fudd makes her pay. This is a good contest defensively. Sarah Strong, just eyes on the rim, able to drain it. Dawn, frustration. It felt when Gino took that timeout that South Carolina was building that momentum, that if they could come out, get a couple stops and scores, they could cut this to single digits. Instead, the lead has ballooned for Connecticut.
Yeah, South Carolina had scored 4 straight. They were starting to get Fulwiley going. And out of that timeout, back-to-back threes, and now these free throws from Beckers. The UConn big three, 100 points in the NCAA tournament. First trio since 2009, a pretty good one for Connecticut. Maya Moore, Tina Charles, Renee Montgomery. Raven Johnson muscling in. Johnson fading, a lot of contact, no call. Rebound gathered by Beckers, and then she is fouled.
But Ryan, that is not a recipe for success offensively for South Carolina. For Raven Johnson to be going one-on-one and backing down, But that's what they've been left with because of how good UConn's perimeter defense has been.
We've had so many coaches throughout this season talk to us about, everybody always likes to comment on the fluidity of Connecticut's offense. It's their defense that's so impactful. We have seen it here today, just like we did against UCLA. Arnold gets denied, but fouled. And that'll be number 3 on Edwards. Free throws here for KK Arnold.
UConn in its small lineup. That leaves Joyce Edwards defending on the perimeter, defending a guard. And that time, KK Arnold recognized that she had that quickness advantage. Now South Carolina going a little bit smaller to match UConn's lineup.
The 29th annual WNBA draft, Monday, April 14th on ESPN and the app. The Dallas Wings have the first pick, followed by the Seattle Storm with the second. Washington Mystics have the 3rd and 4th. Our coverage begins with WNBA Countdown at 7 Eastern. Beckers unable to hit the 3. Paige Beckers, the presumptive number 1 overall pick. Where will Bree Hall, Sanaya Fagan land in that draft? Maybe Tessa Johnson hasn't, maybe Raven Johnson hasn't said yet whether or not she'll be back for another year at South Carolina. As Strong picks up her 3rd. Here is our current mock draft now that Olivia Miles, the Notre Dame point guard, chose the transfer portal rather than the WNBA, was the projected number 2 pick. Tessa Johnson to the line with under a minute to go in this 3rd. The UConn lead has swelled to 19. As Johnson hits the free throw, we check in with Holly.
I want to follow up what you're talking about, UConn's defense and how good they are, but this is going to make WNBA GMs salivate. Sarah Strong, 90 steals and 65 blocks this season. No UConn player in history has more than 75 steals and 60 blocks in a season. And she's a freshman playing this level of defense. She got called for the foul there, but she has made such a huge impact. 90 and 65, guys.
And again doing it today. 15 points, 14 rebounds, blocks, and steals for Strong. As the foul is called on Edwards, and that will be her 4th. So now Chloe Kitts will come and get the talented freshman Joyce Edwards. Edwards and Strong, the top 2 freshmen in the country. You throw Michaela Blake's in there as well. But Edwards and Strong actually good friends who grew up playing together since middle school. The AAU circuit, Team USA. Really connected with one another. Strong said her team used to always lose in AAU to Joyce. Her school team got Joyce's once, but she said Joyce's teams usually won, as Strong gets her first breather of the day. What a performance from the freshman. 17 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists. Pow off on a 3. Raven Johnson couldn't hold the board. And a foul is going to be called on South Carolina on Tessa Johnson. She was trying to force the tie-up and gets whistled for the personal. And Dawn Staley frustrated with that one. And I think you could see Gina Cross saying, look at the foul count, which so far 14 personals called on Connecticut and 12 on South Carolina.
I mean, that's fair. She's on her arm. You know, Tessa Johnson's grabbing Ashlyn Shade's arm, and it's right in front of the official. They tend to let a little bit more physicality go, like in the post, than they do out on the perimeter when it's so obvious.
20-point lead for UConn. Violet Palmer in the truck agrees with the call as well, our rules analyst. Here's Pow. 6 seconds left in the quarter. Pow, spinning, taking, can't finish. Rebound Griffin, and that'll do it for the third. UConn takes a 20-point lead into the fourth. Dawn Staley chats with Holly. When we come back, can South Carolina come back? More after this message and a word from our ABC stations. This championship is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet? Connecticut a 20-point lead after 3 over South Carolina. Time to hear from Dawn Staley. Today's coach's interview is brought to you by Symetra.
So, Coach Staley, where do you begin to dig into this lead right now?
Yeah, bucket by bucket, stop by stop. I mean, it starts and ends with that.
We've seen you have that frustrated pull of Malaysia. You need her points, but she's not always doing everything right defensively. Who else can score for you right now? Where do those points come from?
I don't know. I mean, we did a good job at getting in the bonus 5 minutes in that third quarter. Got to make free throws, okay? Tough battle for us today, but we're going to continue to battle.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
Let's take a look at the Capital One rewarding performance.
Connecticut's defense has been absolutely stifling today, and it's not always what's obvious. How about the fingertip and then the help inside to prevent an easy look, easy foot out on playing defense, hand in the face, just pushing the offense out a little bit farther, getting steals, turning it the other way. The help side is there, the active hands are there. And again, it's been terrific on-ball defense, but also the nature of the help has been terrific, and this is something that Connecticut drills every day. We've seen them working on it throughout the course of the NCAA tournament as well, and it's just been so impactful here in limiting what South Carolina wants to do on the offensive end.
20-point UConn lead to begin the fourth quarter of the national championship game. UConn seeking a 12th title, South Carolina a 4th, and a repeat. KK Arnold being ridden the whole way, able to finish, plus the foul.
And this is UConn's super small lineup. They do not really have a traditional big on the floor, and there's great spacing as a result. KK Arnold just driving, gets a hit pass, and able to finish.
And the Connecticut bench fully engaged. Maddie McDaniel getting some time here for South Carolina as Arnold completes the three-point play. Largest lead of the game for UConn. A UConn team that has been simply dominant in this tournament this year. McDaniel gets fouled and will shoot 2 as the foul is called on Beckers. That'll be her second.
The more time South Carolina can score and cut into a lead with the clock stopped, the better. So not only McDaniel's ability to get the free throw line here, but one foul closer to the bonus for them. You heard Dawn Staley talk about in the interview with Holly.
Yeah, she talked about in the interview with Holly before the game as well on our pregame show. She talked about just trying to get UConn in a close game, knowing that they have not been in many close games this season. In fact, they've only played 3 games all year, UConn, which have been within 6 points in the final 5 minutes, and they've lost all 3 of those games. It's been a while since they've been in one of those situations. So Dawn talked about just keeping it close and seeing if maybe they would tighten up in that spot. You see, South Carolina has handled those situations quite well, but obviously right now, a lot of work to do for the Gamecocks to create a moment like that. Arnold stops, takes, gets fouled again by McDaniel. And free throws here for KK Arnold.
UConn always has terrific spacing offensively, but especially when they have a lineup that looks like this. They do not have a player, over 6 feet tall on the floor, able to space you out. Every one of these women on the floor can face up and drive by. We've seen that now 2 possessions in a row from Arnold.
You talked about it. We saw this lineup with Aubrey Griffin at the 5 a lot in that regular season matchup against South Carolina because Sarah Strong was in foul trouble in that win.
Right now, it's just to buy Sarah Strong a little bit more rest over on the side.
Second free throw good. 22-point edge for UConn. Beckers with 12 points, 5 rebounds. Fudd with 24 points. Sarah Strong, 17 points, 14 boards.
KK Arnold battling inside against Chloe Kitts.
And called for the foul. One player South Carolina is without that's worth mentioning, Ashlyn Watkins, who was a huge game changer for them a season ago, tore her ACL earlier this season. No question they have felt her absence the last couple of months without her.
Perhaps the most athletic big in the country, and her ability to impact both ends of the floor as a result.
That's out of bounds off of South Carolina, UConn basketball.
South Carolina continuing to extend its full court pressure. Has not been a problem so far for UConn.
Strong back in with Beckers, Fudd, Arnold, and Shade. Pow, Tessa Johnson, Bree Hall, Maddie McDaniel, and Chloe Kitts for South Carolina. Here's Beckers. Her jumper is good with a hand in her face.
You cannot defend that handoff any better than South Carolina did.
14 for Beckers, steal from Shade, fouled by Kitts. And the Connecticut defense just suffocating.
Sometimes it doesn't matter how much you work on something defensively. This is handled pretty well. Kitts comes out, contests, has the length right there. Paige Beckers simply unbothered.
Dad Bob loving what he sees, out of his seat to celebrate. Strong, oh, what a finish! Reversing it home. McDaniel a three, no. Strong, the rebound, and got it out of her hands. Here's Beckers on the break. Fudge three. Off, and a foul gonna stay right here as Arnold got pushed from behind.
We've talked all game long about Sarah Strong and her hands and her feet as well. I mean, this is a tough catch, just spins it right up softly so it rolls in.
Joyce Edwards will come back in for South Carolina with her 4 fouls. South Carolina has already committed 4 fouls here in the 4th. It's a lot of time for UConn to get to the free throw line in the final quarter of this season. Beckers backdoor, pops it in, plus the foul. It's raining blue in Tampa.
Wow, Paige Beckers reading the cut. The ball delivered beautifully. Absorbs the contact. Look at the react. KK Arnold, the bench. They're feeling it right about now.
Paige Beckers now tied with Maya Moore for the most points in NCAA tournament history in her career, and now ahead of her, Shamika Holtzclaw and Caitlin Clark, the only players with more total tournament points than Paige Beckers. Edwards flings it out. A 29-point UConn lead. Edwards lost it out of bounds. Going to stay here. More unrelenting defense from UConn.
And what's remarkable is we're 3 minutes into the 4th quarter. Oftentimes you see teams play like that in the 1st quarter. UConn's still doing that here into the 4th.
Lob it into Edwards. Edwards can't get the bank to drop. Strong just volleys it into the backcourt. Bree Hall able to flag it down. And an issue with the shot clock there that they want to get right. They reset it on the slap from Strong. You hear the UConn fans in love with what they have seen so far today. Fulwiley dashing through. Beautiful finish from Mylasia Fulwiley, the star sophomore. Been held to just 4 points today. Fudd fakes the three. Strong does as well. Fudd gets a clean look. Little off, and Edwards couldn't handle the rebound. It's going to stay here with UConn. UConn has hit just 3 threes in this game. I think if you would have told anybody before the game, hey, UConn's going to go 3 for 14 from 3, they would have thought South Carolina is going to be right in this game.
And be limited to 6 fast break points.
Their defense has just been sensational, and they've gotten it done inside the arc on offense. Arnold on the attack. Arnold lays it in. Fulwiley, wow, my goodness. What a move from Mylasia Fulwiley.
And good job to go quickly as well, because you need as much time as possible. On the other hand, you see UConn, deliberate, walking the ball up the floor. Will be looking to stay aggressive while using clock.
Under 6 minutes to go. Using all the shot clock here. Beckers gives it up. Strong. You bet. The lead is 30, and the freshman is thriving. How about 22 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists in her first national championship game. And KK Arnold adding a little something off the bench in this second half for UConn.
Sarah Strong is the next big star in women's college basketball in terms of freshmen.
Strong trying to come up with a steal. Beckers does. A 30-point UConn lead after they beat UCLA by 34, the largest margin of victory in a Final Four game. Fudd leaning, can't hit, got it back. Beckers will run more clock.
This is a disciplined, intelligent team when it comes to late game situations.
Strong, 2 to shoot. Strong rumbles in, kicks out. Fudd, little off, another offensive rebound. And UConn can run more clock. Arnold dashing in, 2 more. Fagan gets held up, out of bounds, 4:01 to go in the fourth. UConn on the doorstep of title number 12. Everybody in on the act today for Gino Auriemma's squad. Azzi Fudd with 24, Sarah Strong with 22, and 17 from Paige Beckers in her final collegiate game. Well, Paige Beckers on the brink of her first championship, playing in her 4th Final Four, and she's been excellent in this NCAA tournament. Her career point per game average, 19.9, highest in UConn history. The 3rd most career points in NCAA tournament history. Only Shamika Holtzclaw, Caitlin Clark with more. Her 40 in the Sweet 16, a UConn tournament record. And we talked to Gino Auriemma yesterday, and we said, do you want this one for Paige? He said, of course I want this for Paige. He said, no, usually we take care of this by our star's sophomore years. He said she's had to live in a grind, not in a fantasy land like some others, as South Carolina's upperclassmen will check out now. We'll get back to Paige in a moment. But you see the hugs for Fagan, Pow Pow, Raven Johnson, Bree Hall. We asked Dawn Staley yesterday about whether or not she's thought about it being the final game for so many of these impactful players in her program who have won a couple of national championships here, have been to Final Fours every year of their collegiate careers. And Dawn said, you know, the thing she feels great about is there's nothing missing from their resumes. They've accomplished everything they set out to here. And she also knows they are prepared to make an impact at the next level. She said whatever role they have on a team, she knows they're going to go into a camp, and that coaching staff is going to say, I like their work and I like what they can bring. And that's the way Dawn Staley prepares her players.
And she also said these women have grown into resilient young women who will never be taken advantage of in their life, and is as equally proud of that as anything she has helped them accomplish on the basketball court.
And obviously today is not the day for South Carolina. This has been a brilliant performance from UConn, but you can't say enough about the program that Dawn Staley has built in Columbia. This is 5 straight Final Fours. They have won 3 championships over the last 9 years. They have won 2 of the last 4. And we know they're not going anywhere. They will be a premier power in college basketball for as long as Dawn Staley is at the helm. Edwards can't finish. Sarah Strong, 114 points in this NCAA tournament, the most by a freshman in Division I history. I think Diana Taurasi's Baby Jokic comp is pretty spot on, as Gino Auriemma is going to take a timeout, get Caitlin Chen back in. KK Arnold will receive a nice hand. .220 to go. The Connecticut faithful behind their bench on their feet. Becker's one to shoot, off one leg. Can't drop it in. Rebound kicks, had it taken by Shade. And UConn will run more clock. Gino Auriemma was talking to us about that win in Columbia in mid-February. At that time, the question was, could UConn compete with the best in the country? They had lost to Tennessee. They had lost to USC. They had lost to Notre Dame. Becker's, not that time. And he expected to go in the locker room and see them really celebrating that win against the Gamecocks. Instead, he saw them totally businesslike. And he said, that gave me a good feeling for what was to come. Paige Becker said it wasn't celebratory, it was motivating. It was the first example of what we really could be. And it's exactly what they have been over the last couple of months. The emotion pouring out of Paige Beckers as she hugs the entire UConn coaching staff. We were talking to her yesterday about her relationship with Gino Auriemma, and she said it is definitely one of one. I'd say it's tough love, but I feel like I can talk to Gino about anything. I go into his office, we chat about golf or how to handle pressure, how to navigate social media, managing money. Said, yeah, he's sarcastic, Yes, he has that quick wit, but the reason the relationship is so special is because I'm willing to give it back to him. Under 1 minute to go. Edwards the block. 42 seconds remaining. And Connecticut will be the first Division I program to 12 titles, all with that man at the helm. Wiley buries the three. Just a slight differential game in shot clock here. So there'll have to be one more tiny possession as Connecticut gets ready to celebrate. Gina Cross, the official, telling the bench, hey, it's going to be a violation, so don't quite run on the floor yet. There's the violation. And there's the buzzer. It's an even dozen for Gino Auriemma and Connecticut. The final page in the Book of Beckers is title number 12 for UConn. Gino Auriemma is with Holly Rowe.
Coach Auriemma, it's been a while. 2016, the last time you and your team felt this way. You go through that handshake line and hug your kid. What does it mean to you?
You know, you just never know if you'll ever be back in this situation again. And there were so many times when, you know, I think we all question, like, have we been here too long? You know, has it been time? And yet we kept hanging in there and hanging in there. And it's because these players make me want to hang in there every day. And this team has changed so much from the beginning of the season. If people only knew, we had a preseason scrimmage. We lost the scrimmage. I thought we wouldn't make the NCAA tournament. But this is, I mean, they've all been gratifying, don't get me wrong. But this one here, because of the way it came about and what's been involved, it's been a long time since I've been that emotional when a player has walked off the court.
We saw that hug with Paige. All that she's been through, all that she's fought through. When you're in that hug, Coach, what are you saying to her?
I love you. That's all I could say. I love you.
As your players continue to celebrate, Paige has been there for a while. AZ was brilliant today, all she has had to fight through. And your freshman, Sarah Strong, your big three delivering. How do you describe the talent and the bright spot that you are in?
Well, it's amazing to have three players, three people like that on the same team. And Sarah, you would think Sarah was graduating the way she plays, right? But all three of them complement each other so well. They all have such unique skill sets. You know, about 2 months ago, this team fell in love with each other. At first, you know, they would play, and there was like, yeah, we like each other, and we like each other a lot, and we spend a lot of time together off the court and on the court. But I think after the Tennessee game, I think they fell in love with each other, with the process, with ourselves as a group, and they started liking their coaches. And I've never been happier than I've been the last couple of months coaching a team.
Go enjoy that, Coach. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Holly.
Well, Gino Auriemma, very emotional, reflecting upon this team and his time with Paige Beckers. What a performance from Azzi Fudd in this one with 24 after she had struggled so mightily in the 2022 championship game against South Carolina, had been limited to just 16 minutes and 3 points. She comes through. So does Paige Beckers, who has that championship. Holly?
Coach Auriemma just told us he's never had the feelings he did when he hugged you as you came out of the game. What was that like for you, Paige, walking off the floor a champion and greeting him?
Unreal. Just so much gratitude for everything this program has meant to me, for how much my teammates mean to me. And this is from the top to the bottom. Our managers are here from stores. Our practice players are here from stores, and they made us work our butt off this entire year. Our GAs, our managers, our assistant dobos, our masseuse, everybody. I can't even name all the people. Just everybody here takes a village just to do what we do here, and everybody's important to the team's success. And you see the 14 players and the coaching staff, but behind the scenes, there's so much work that goes into what we do, and there's just so much gratitude. And just the strength conditioning staff, Hootie and Janelle have had their hands full the last couple of years, so to reward all their hard work, I can't even put into words what's happening right now.
You walk off the floor and Coach gives you a hug. I asked him what he said to you, and he said, "I love you." He's had to pour into you, and it hasn't always been easy. How has he gotten the best version of Paige Beckers?
Yeah, he told me he loved me, and I told him I hated him. So, no, I love that. I love that man like more than words can describe, and there's a lot of times I don't. But it's because he's challenging me and making us all better in ways we never even knew we could, and he always has our back. That's the thing. Like, sometimes it feels like he's on you and he has nothing but bad things to say, but he always has belief. He always has your back. And just the relationship that we have, I can't even put into words.
It took a long time for you to become a champion. I know you had your COVID year messed up in high school. You had to wait and wait and wait for this moment, Paige. As you celebrate and the confetti's coming down, how do you feel so grateful that you were patient and waited?
Yeah, if I could say one thing, it would be to stand firm in who you are. There's a lot of people who write you off. There's a lot of narratives that can be try to put you in a box, tell you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to be more like this player, you got to be more like that player. Stand firm in who you are. There's people that doubt you because they think you're doing it on your strength alone. We lean on God's strength here. And through God's power, for God's purposes, we're not doing this alone. And we have a village that we lean on. And just do it for the people who believe in you and always stick to who you are.
Yeah, Coach told me before the game, all I need from Paige is for Paige to be Paige today. And now you're a champion. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you. Got it.
Well, Paige Beckers, a champion in her final collegiate game. UConn, an 82-59 win over South Carolina. We'll be back with the trophy presentation in a moment. The hugs, emotional for UConn. This was the longest drought they had had since their first title in 1995. But the winningest program in Division I history is back on top with their 12th national championship. The trophy presentation is coming up next on ABC.
Champions. They're built from hard work, dedication, and excellent nutrition. Introducing Alpha Dog, the winning formula for the Husky who expects nothing but excellence year after year. Huskies who know what winning tastes like. Each golden trophy-shaped morsel is packed with victory. Best served in our commemorative championship bowl. Alpha Dog, because winners gotta eat.
The NCAA, driving change to do more for today's student athletes. The NCAA programs deliver $4 billion in scholarships every year. Those D1 scholarships are now guaranteed, Health and well-being services are mandatory. Student athletes get tutoring as well as financial literacy coaching because almost everyone is going pro in something other than sports. The NCAA, driving change to do more for today's student athletes.
Well, UConn is your national champions here in 2025. Gino Auriemma through the years. Back, starting with Connecticut in the late 80s. Won their first championship in 95. Went through so many stars. And you know what? The face has changed some. The eyes eventually needed some aid. The hair got a little grayer. But one thing has remained the same, and that's he is a champion. And now the pilot of title number 12 for UConn. And Gino Auriemma, he said to us yesterday, if we play like we did the other night against UCLA, we're going to win. They certainly played like that. Absolute dominance in the semifinal and today from Gino Auriemma's team. Just incredible connectivity, rhythm, defensive ferocity. And when you look at the most national titles by a head coach, Gino at the top of the mountain with 12 now. Pat Summitt with 8. Kim Mulkey with 4. 3 of them at Baylor, 1 at LSU. Dawn Staley with 3 titles in the last decade at South Carolina. And Tara Vanderveer, the legend at Stanford, with 3 before retiring. One of the things Gino was really trying to emphasize to his team was don't worry about the fear of losing. That's trying to run away from something. Think about the joy of winning. Try and run towards something. He said, I've lost before in Final Fours. I've lost more than I won. You know how they introduce me? As a champion. They don't mention the losses. All it takes is one to change your life. And this year, Gino's team beats 3 1 seeds in a single tournament, becoming just the 4th team ever to do so, joining Tennessee in 1987, Louisiana Tech in 1988, and then Baylor in 2005. A run of historic dominance for UConn in this particular tournament. Only real gut check time you could think about was down at the half against Oklahoma. Then they blow them out after halftime, and then USC making a push at the end of the third to cut it to 5, but UConn a dominant 4th to pull away. Sarah Strong with 24 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists. Paige Beckers, 17 points, 6 rebounds, and 3 assists. Azzi Fudd with 24 points on 9 of 17 shooting. We are getting set for the trophy presentation here in Tampa. Now entering this year, Paige Beckers was one of 18 UConn players all time to play in 4 Final Fours. She was the only one who had not won a title. She has now. Time for the trophy presentation. Let's get it to the podium. And the best in the business at it, Holly Rowe.
Well, thank you very much, Ryan. Would like to say thank you to all of the fans who are here making this another incredible 2025 Women's Final Four National Championship game. The fans have been incredible. Another sellout. And joining me here on stage is Vice President of NCAA Women's Basketball, Lynn Holtzman. Thank you for being here. And now to present our trophy, Dorita Dawkins, the committee chair of the Women's NCAA Women's Basketball Committee. Dorita?
We'd like to congratulate the University of South Carolina on a great season, but now we would like to, on behalf of the NCAA and the entire Division I Women's Basketball Committee, present the championship trophy to the University of Connecticut and Coach Gino Auriemma, who's over here giving hugs.
He's still busy coaching even in this moment. Well, Coach Auriemma, as you raise that championship trophy and these fans are loving you, I see so many faces of so many great players, Maya Moore, Brianna Stewart, all of the women who've stood on this stage before. What is it like for you to stand on this stage today with this group of very resilient players who've had to fight through so much to be standing here today?
Well, first I want to congratulate South Carolina for getting here. It's incredibly difficult to get here. Second, I want to thank UConn Nation for showing up. They always do. We have the greatest fans in the world. I think all of my former players that are here, you know, when you cut down the nets and everybody gets a little piece of it, I wish we had enough nets that every one of them got a piece of it, because that's how much they mean to us.
You know, this is such a hard thing to do. This is now the 12th for UConn basketball. You told me yesterday there were 100 people at your first UConn basketball game.
There were.
There's probably 100 million that know about the UConn women's program now. How far you've come to now stand atop this mountain by yourselves. The most of any men's or women's program with 12 national championships. You're the winningest coach of all time. Gino, how have you done it as a coach to be that great?
This is one of those things that happens. It's funny, this afternoon I went for a walk, right? And as I'm walking outside the hotel, at one point I said, you know, hey, dear God, you know, like, I don't need one of these, but damn, my players do, man. Can you do it for them? So I think it means a lot to me personally, obviously, that we can still do this after all these years. But I've said this 100 times. Tomorrow I get up in the morning and I'm the same person. I have the same things and same friends and same family. But these kids, their lives have been changed forever. And I'm glad that I had a part in that.
Thank you so much, Coach. And now to announce the most outstanding player of the 2020 Women's National Championship game and Final Four, AZ Fudd. AZ, I hope you don't mind me saying this, but I remember when you played in your last national championship and you didn't feel well, you were sick. It didn't go the way you wanted, and then injuries mounted and your career didn't go the way you wanted, and now here you stand. Where does this reservoir of resilience come from in you?
Just the people I surround myself with. My teammates, people I'm with every single day, they support me, encourage me, I lean on them, and they're there for me every day. My family, the coaching staff, the support staff here, just the people I surround myself with. I think that, you know, their resilience then feeds off into me.
I saw you with this beautiful hug with your mom and dad. I know they've poured a lot into you, as has this entire team. The lowest moments to the highest of highs right now, how have they lifted you up?
Every single day. I mean, they're the reason I'm playing basketball. They taught me most of the things I know, so shout out, where are they? Shout out mom and dad, but to be able to stand here, just see all the people that I love in the crowd, the people that I love here up on the stage with me, I don't even have words to describe this moment right now.
Okay, Paige and Sarah, come here really quick, really quick, really quick, really quick. Stay here, stay here. Okay, we've got the seniors going out. We've got the freshmen that has been absolutely brilliant. Paige, what do you say to this crowd and the fans who have embraced you? And what are your words for the future of this team?
Well, obviously, thank you. This turnout has been great. Tampa's treated us well. We feel all the Husky love. I want to say a special shout out to our managers and practice players who came all the way from stores. And all the alums who showed up to support us, just everybody here to support, a sold-out crowd. That's a great environment for women's basketball. And this team is in great hands. I'm not worried about them at all. Obviously, the coaching staff speaks for itself, but these players, we got the blueprint now. We know how to do it. We know what it takes to get back here, and they got a whole lot of heart, a whole lot of passion, a whole lot of faith, and I got nothing but trust in them.
All right, Sarah, one quick question. One of the best performances we've ever seen in history from a freshman, the most points ever scored in an NCAA tournament. How proud are you of yourself to step up so big on this stage?
I mean, I'm more proud of my teammates. I mean, I feel like we did a really good job just executing everything and staying together.
All right, well, thank you so much. Good job, good job. Your 2025 NCAA women's basketball champion, the UConn Huskies.
All right, Holly, thank you very much. Ryan Ruocco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. Let's start before we get into UConn's win here with South Carolina. Rebecca, just wrapping up their season, an incredible program that got back to the national championship, just ran into a UConn buzzsaw.
Yeah, an incredible season once again for South Carolina, who has a lot of talented young players returning for next year. A senior class that has done so much for that program, leading them to 4 Final Fours, already with 2 national championships. Dawn Staley has done such an incredible job as well building that program, but certainly a team that is going to be very, very good again next season.
Meanwhile, for UConn, you saw the way Gino Auriemma was emotional there, talking about how badly he wanted this for his players, and what a dominant run from this group through this March and early April to this 12th title.
Coach Auriemma prepares his teams for March better than any coach in college basketball, and he's done that for the last 40 years. And he said, you know, the last few years there's kind of been an asterisk by their team because of all the injuries that they have dealt with, and he pours in so much to his players, and it starts in the preseason and goes throughout the course of the year, how demanding he is and how much he holds them accountable to one another and to him and his staff. And as a result, you see what we've seen for the last 6 weeks, and that is a UConn team that's been unbeatable, that's been on the ascent, that's found a love for one another. And it's just incredible to watch what he has been able to do, doing it the exact same way for the last 40 years. He has helped these women achieve their dreams and change their lives.
Well, you were a part of that first title, and tonight it is title number 12 for Gino Auriemma and UConn. Once again, our final score, Connecticut 82, South Carolina 59. For our producer, Kerry Callahan, our director, Jimmy Platt, a couple of Hall of Famers, Holly Roan, Rebecca Lobo. I'm Ryan Ruocco. Coming up after our show over on ESPN, it's the NCAA Women's Championship post-game show presented by Nissan. That's over on ESPN as we say thank you so much for watching all season long, and so long from Tampa.
The true competitors are the ones who always play to win. That's what March is about.
You're going to get their best shot. We got to give them our best shot.
Don't nobody need to believe but us.
You step up when it's tournament time, when it's win or go home.
We're dogs. We came on, we dominated.
I'm super proud of them. I love them to death. I really do.
I'll be blowing kisses to the student section. And my boyfriend was there, so
What a clutch performance, and we are headed to a second overtime. Maryland survives. Heartbreak for Alabama.
He has just breathed life into me.
Not every coach gets to have that relationship with the player.
I've had the time of my life here, best supporters in the country.
Watkins goes down hard, and she's grabbing her right knee.
We know that she's back home supporting us to give us that good juju, you could say.
She is not afraid of the moment.
I'm built for this, I'm a dog.
I love the emotion of March.
How many Final Fours you play in?
None.
All right.
Lapping them in.
For the first time, UCLA is headed to the Final Four.
A 22-year drought will end in Austin.
A record 24 Final Four.
The repeat run continues for South Carolina. shine. There's the feeling I've been searching for all of my life. I've been running to find it.
Eckers, what a feed! The touch pass! Edwards is on fire. Everybody contributing tonight, celebrating to the point of stumbling.
Found what I've been chasing, found the one I've waited for.
Get your popcorn ready. It's an even dozen for Gino Auriemma and Connecticut.